Tell him I got the juice.
Can we talk about the 37 culture study? Because to me, that is sort of like the beginning of where I started to say, oh, wait a second. These ideas that you come up with are pervasive amongst all Homo sapiens, or at least all Homo sapiens that you've checked in. So 37 different cultures, you checked some of the mating strategies, and what were the results that you found?
Yeah, so this was a study of 37 cultures. It took a long time to do this study, by the way. It's a lot easier to do studies nowadays, but at that point, it took about 5 years. And the 37 cultures included huge diversity of political systems, religious orientations, every ethnicity, any dimension you can think of. These cultures varied on, including, let's say, presumptively monogamous cultures versus presumptively polygynous cultures, where one man can legally permitted to marry multiple wives. So, what we were interested in this study was, what do men and women want in a long-term mate? And so this initial 37 culture study focused on long-term mate selection.
Okay, so keep that in mind, right? So this study, they're aiming to find out what are men and women looking for in a long-term mate. Okay, so a lot of these conversations, you're dealing with long-term versus short-term, and you're going to hear a lot of terms that are related to both, and what women are looking for, what men are looking for, and how to navigate through that. So let's keep listening.
And really, it was focused on Darwin's theory of sexual selection. That is, what are the qualities that men and women want in potential partners? Because that influences your selection. Of course, what you want is not always what you can get, as Mick Jagger said. But preferences do drive actual mating decisions. And so what we found is we found some things that were universally desired. So things like good health, intelligence, dependability, mutual attraction, and love. And these were basically universal preferences in all 37 cultures, more or less equally preferred by men and women. We found some characteristics that were highly variable in how much they were desired across cultures. And the most variable was the desire for virginity or chastity, or what we defined it as no prior sexual intercourse.
Yeah, we don't have that in Las Vegas. We're not aware of that.
Right. Yeah. Nor are they in
Austin?
in Austin or Sweden.
In Sweden, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, nowhere. I mean, I don't know how many places in America that you could say, you know, people's virginity is intact. And while we're here, I do think it's a beautiful thing for virginity to be intact. It's exactly how I would say it's supposed to be. And again, not to shame or exclude anybody who has, lost that in a premarital manner, whatever the case is, but it is something dope and something that should be made cool again. Can I be honest? I'm gonna just go out and come out and say it. It should be something that's cool, made cool again, right? Keeping your V card, baby, you got it intact, and you waiting for the right one, and not just the right one, but locking it down and covenant, man. Listen to what he says, man, here, that actually threw me for a loop when I first listened to this. That kind of made me think of something that I want to share. So check this out.
There was a lot of that much virginity at UT Austin when I was there. Yes.
Yeah. But what we found is in mainland China at the time, virginity was an absolute indispensable quality of a long-term mate. And in Sweden, it was like irrelevant. And some even said it was bad. If someone was a virgin, certainly by, say, mid-20s, this was viewed as a weird, quirky, undesirable quality.
Bro. So very interesting that he says, bro, in Sweden, it was referred to as something that was actually undesirable in mates. I just find it so fascinating that different cultures, right, have so many different views. He just mentioned, Chinese. Hey, that was something that was extremely necessary, right, for long term. But you come over to Sweden and they're like, you a little weird, Bucko. You okay, right? And it makes one less desirable. And so it was something that definitely threw me for a loop. And the one thing that I will say is I just want y'all to think about this, especially from a perspective of truth, right? Because that's really what we want to operate from around these parts, right? Is really operating from a place of truth. And yes, we can look at stats and statistics and point that out to be something that is true, but it's not something that it comes from a system of truth or something that we would use as a guiding light to navigate in all areas and phases of our lives. We can't just find ourselves looking at statistics and saying, yo, well, if this is what it is, then I guess this is what I'm going to do, or necessarily this is what I'm going to revert my life around, especially with statistics that are bound to change, whether they grow or decrease. Um, and, I definitely just, again, as I'm going on and on, I definitely want to be careful too, because I will find myself using statistics as well, right, to back up, Christianity, Christian faith, all those kinds of things that a lot of people typically exclude in a lot of these conversations. But even then, right, like again, the principles of Christ moving forward in those things, it's not true because the statistics are high, right? The statistics are just further evidence that this is what it is, and it's supposed to be this way. The statistics doesn't mean that the actions and the principles are therefore true. It's therefore the actions and principles are true, not because of the statistics in high rise, but because Christ resurrected from the dead, because God is real and manifests himself through the person of Jesus. Like, there's so many different evidences that we come to that prove that doing things God's way is more optimal than just saying, hey, we just going to believe it because the statistics are high. I think if anything, the statistics continue to reveal, hey, like, when are we going to now stop trying to say, I don't believe in God. I believe in numeric things and I believe in numerical evidences. Well, cool. We also have numerical evidences too. So like where you want to go. So that's just something to keep in mind. But I just wonder when when is it going to come when certain principles, obviously we are already in a space where principles of Christ aren't renownedly accepted among culture. So when statistics start pointing out, that people find you being a follower of Christ, I mean, I'm sure there's already some out there. I don't really know, but I mean, just live a little, be a follower of Jesus. You'll learn that people will just not mess with you because you're a Christian and because you believe in Christ. Like, so then are we going to then look at that and say, oh, well, I guess I should just stop being a Christian and stop letting people know that I'm a follower of Jesus just so I can have that person, this person. Like, man, at some point we got to make a we got to make a decision, right? And so that's kind of where my thought process goes when I hear that, because something that is so sacred, rather, as communal, relational sex with somebody, like, I mean, there's gonna come a day, man, where that stuff, we just got to consider that. We have to consider it, the sacredness, the privacy, the necessity. Like, we just have to consider it. And that's kind of where my mind goes with all that. This clip is from one of my recent YouTube live streams. You can come over and check out when we go live, typically once a week. Find your boy, subscribe, turn on the post notifications so you don't miss when we're going live and all that we've got going on over on this channel. All right, peace.